I'm so sad Star Trek Voyager didn't do a planned Borg zombie episode. I've always liked Star Trek Voyager Season 4 episode Mortal Coil, but now I'm disappointed that its original premise was scrapped. Mortal Coil was the 12th episode of Voyager Season 4 and featured a poignant storyline centered on Neelix, Ethan Phillips, struggling with his spirituality and questions of the afterlife after he was killed and subsequently revived in a shuttle accident. The episode is a tour de force for Neelix, and one of his best in the series. But one of my favorite parts has always been Neelix's interactions with recurring character Samantha Wildman, Nacy Hauer, and her daughter, Naomi Wildman, Scarlett Pomers. The Wildmans were important recurring members of Star Trek Voyager's cast, and were involved in some great episodes throughout the show, including Mortal Coil. Naomi tended to be the focus of more storylines, offering a unique perspective as the first child born in the Delta Quadrant and sharing some truly wonderful moments with characters like Neelix and 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan. Samantha had much less screen time than her daughter, but if the original premise for Mortal Coil had gone forward, the episode would have ended up being a big deal for her. Star Trek Voyager's Neelix episode Mortal Coil was originally about a Borg zombie. In an interview with the official Star Trek Voyager magazine, Voyager producer and writer Brannon Braga revealed that Mortal Coil was originally going to focus on Samantha Wildman and have a much darker lean to it. While the episode did end up featuring some heavy themes, Braga's discussion of the initial idea makes it clear that had it not been reworked, Mortal Coil would likely have been the closest thing to a horror movie the Star Trek franchise has ever created, an idea that excited me when I first read about it. Read Braga's full quote below. "We are going to do this Pet Cemetery episode where Ensign Wildman goes on a shuttle mission and dies, and 7 of 9 brings her back to life using Borg technology, except that now she's zombie mom. She's not all there. Wildman's more connected with death than life, and her only link to life is through her daughter. She wants to kill her daughter, though, to bring her back to life, so she can share that experience with her." Really a creepy, morbid story. I thought, this is going to be so much fun to write. There's been nothing on Star Trek remotely like that ever. So we broke the story, and everybody was pretty happy about it. Despite enthusiasm, the idea of Samantha Wildman turning into a Borg zombie and attempting to kill her daughter did not sit well with Voyager producer Rick Berman or Paramount Studios, who thought it was too gruesome for Star Trek. The premise was quickly scrapped and reworked into the episode it became. Some of the original elements, like a dead crew member being brought back by nanoprobes, are still present, but the truly horrific stuff was replaced with a more existential lean. Knowing about the original premise now, though, I can't help but be disappointed it didn't pan out. Star Trek Voyager's original Mortal Coil premise being cut is disappointing. Having Mortal Coil be a full-on Star Trek horror episode would have been a great addition to Voyager and a unique premise for the franchise as a whole. While I understand the reservations about featuring a mother wanting to kill her daughter, especially in the 1990s on mainstream television, Mortal Coil squandered the chance to do something truly original. The episode's initial premise was hair-raising in some of the best ways, and would also have been a chance for Nacy Hauer, a phenomenal actor who didn't get enough screen time, to shine as Samantha Wildman. As a fan of Star Trek Voyager, I can't help but wonder what could have been had the show pursued one of its more thrilling and ambitious ideas, a Borg zombie episode. Rumor has it that during the show's development, the writers played with the idea of featuring a story where the Borg, Star Trek's most fearsome villains, would lose control of some of their drones, leading to a situation where they essentially became mindless, rotting husks. In essence, Voyager almost gave us a Borg zombie episode. Sadly, it was never produced, and that feels like a huge missed opportunity. The Borg are already terrifying in their original form. Cybernetic organisms that assimilate entire civilizations, they represent the loss of individuality, autonomy, and free will. What could be scarier than a mindless collective that seeks to strip away everything that makes us human? The answer, of course, is zombies. Zombies are the epitome of mindless horror. Creatures that were once alive and are now driven solely by a relentless hunger or programming. Combining the relentless, calculating nature of the Borg with the visceral, decaying terror of zombies could have created one of Voyager's most memorable episodes. One reason the concept of Borg zombies feels so appealing is the way it would have deepened the already unnerving nature of the Borg. The Borg collective operates with a cold, emotionless logic, each drone interconnected by the hive mind. But what if that mind fractured? What if parts of the Borg became untethered from their organized structure and descended into a state of chaos? Stripped of the guiding intelligence of the collective, Borg drones could easily become mindless shells, driven by basic, malfunctioning instincts, a chilling parallel to the classic zombie trope of reanimated corpses driven by primal urges. Imagine Voyager's crew stumbling upon a derelict Borg cube, drifting aimlessly through space. At first, the crew might assume it's just another routine encounter with the collective, perhaps an opportunity to investigate the technology of their adversary without the immediate threat of assimilation. But once aboard, they would realize something was very wrong. Instead of the methodical, purpose-driven Borg they faced before, they find themselves hunted by decaying drones that can no longer regenerate, their flesh rotting away from their cybernetic enhancements. It's easy to envision the atmosphere of such an episode. The usually sterile, orderly environments of Borg cubes could take on a new, more macabre aesthetic. Dim lighting flickers as the power fluctuates, the hum of technology replaced by the eerie silence of a ship on the verge of collapse. Panels of exposed circuitry spark sporadically, casting shadows across drones shambling aimlessly through the corridors, their cybernetic components barely holding them together. The crew of Voyager would be forced to confront this horror as they tried to escape, perhaps with 7 of 9, herself a former drone, playing a pivotal role in understanding what had gone wrong. The potential character dynamics this episode could have explored are tantalizing. 7 of 9, having been assimilated by the Borg and eventually liberated by Voyager, would likely have been central to the story. As someone who has struggled with reclaiming her humanity after years as a Borg drone, the sight of these malfunctioning, zombie-like drones might have been profoundly unsettling for her. Seeing what could have become of her, a drone without purpose, slowly deteriorating into mindless decay, would have forced her to confront her worst fears. It would have been a powerful exploration of her character's internal struggle with identity, freedom, and fear of losing control. Moreover, the episode could have touched on Voyager's broader themes of survival and the nature of humanity. The Borg zombies would have represented a dark mirror for the crew, a vision of what happens when individuals are stripped of their will and their ability to live with purpose. The Voyager crew, constantly battling the odds to survive and find their way home, would have been forced to reckon with their own fears of losing their way, not just physically, but morally and psychologically. In a larger sense, this episode might have been a critique of technological overreach, a warning about the dangers of relying too heavily on systems that strip away individuality. The Borg, after all, represent the dark side of utopianism, a collective society that values efficiency over personal freedom, technology over humanity. Borg zombies, in this light, could have been a chilling reminder of what happens when technology breaks down, when the systems we depend on to live become the very things that destroy us. Sadly, for reasons unknown, this concept never came to fruition. Perhaps the writers felt it was too dark for the generally hopeful tone of Star Trek, or maybe the